Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and you, all of you out there, are my co hosts. As on this great Future Friday, we get to talk about, well, aliens, or more specifically, how alien are your aliens? Now, we are going to come at this topic from the point of view of the protagonists. So, yes, we can make extremely alien aliens if we want to. Many of them, add in one part ooze, one part tentacle, and a few mouths and or misplaced human limbs or something. We can get really alien that way. But more specifically, I'm talking about our PCs, our protagonists, the choices that our players have at the tabletop game setting, and why thank you there, P. And we are going to talk about uh, s- the pitfalls of getting a little bit too alien, and some of the tropes that of course we've all lived with, simply because of the side effects of our ability to represent those aliens in our intellectual property. So let's start out with the biggest, I want to say, both victim and precursor to the aliens, and that, of course, is Star Trek. Star Trek television show, since day one, simply because of budgetary needs and storytelling needs, where you got to get the story across quickly, and you need touch points and touchstones to explain the aliens to the people watching the television show. So what do? Well, you get prosthetics, maybe a little bit of colored makeup. You throw everyone in the same similar sized and colored jumpsuits, and you're done. Right? You More often than not, there usually is very little barrier to our main characters, mostly human, talking to aliens, mostly human. And that trope has, usually because of the same limitations, and also for the fact that a lot of storytellers are like, I really don't want to have to deal with the complications of language and body size and perceptions of time and space. And so they narrow it down to, okay, let's just hire a bunch of actors, throw some prosthetics on their face or their ears or something. Maybe in post production you get a little bit of like the voice modulation or something. But for the most part, same body type, same facial type. You If they want to go really wild, they'll pick an odd color for their skin and and their hands, and usually covering their hands, maybe a little bit of their face, and they're done. And I think that went from a budgetary thing to a laziness, and so we get a lot of, yeah, they're basically humans, you know. And like Deadman points out, because we're going to go to the other extreme here. Deadman says, or like the eclipse phase factors, giant amoebas that have gained sentience and use technology to allow them to talk with new races they encounter. Yeah, in the role playing game Eclipse Phase, specifically, at least in the first edition, I can't. My brain goes back and forth between the first and second edition, but specifically pointed out in the game mastering section of Eclipse Phase, they specify that aliens should be extremely alien. All right, so what are some things that are truly alien that we kind of have a hard time bringing to the tabletop game, or even into role playing games in general, or stories or whatever? And a lot of those go beyond what we talked about on a Wednesday and Thursday in fantasy gaming, and kind of goes beyond, more into traditional facets of science fiction. An example would be like in fantasy gaming, you've got monstrous races, and maybe they breed a little bit differently. Maybe they eat things that are a little different, but we can play with that, right? We can have fun. What one of our um, uh, uh, consistent members and co-hosts of the show mention that, yeah, I've got a lizard folk or a dragonborn that walks around with a pouch of fingers that he stacks on. It's like, ugh, but kind of funny, right? And um yeah, and Dead Man points out, like, yeah, on the opposite end of that, like the closest we get in real life on Earth would be the octopi. And how obsessed are we with I guess you could call it the octopi being the epitome of all the things maybe deep down in the ocean that we don't understand. And scientists even today are trying to figure out, how do they operate. And there are videos of octopi doing some strange s- behaviors that seem sentient behind it. And yeah, yeah, yeah. Pelora goes on. It says the same thing. Like, yeah, an alien's going to lose their shit if they see an octopus or squid, unless they see something that's real familiar. And we're the ones that are like, why are you guys tolerating those people living on the 30% of land masses? And octopi is like, I don't know. Squids are like, yeah, we tolerate them. They'll go away soon, right? And so one of the things I think, the issues when dealing with really alien aliens, is that it's easy to take it too far if they think, for example, if the aliens don't comprehend humanity, like humanity is just a virus. They're just mammals. We don't consider them to be sentient, or the aliens think and perceive the world in a different time frame, extremely slow or very fast, or for some strange reasons the aliens can't see us because we can't see them. They live in a different, I would say, phase time continuity, a different dimension or something, or the aliens are so non-human that it's hard to relate to them, meaning like they're an intelligent gas, or I don't remember the science fiction book that was tongue in cheek. It was like so and so and so and so, and the intelligent, what was it, aliens that were the intelligent color blue or something like that, right? Yeah, Plora brings up one where bioluminescence is a neat one, even used as the equivalent of hand gestures to communicate non-verbally. Um, Bioluminescence, pheromones, sound frequencies that are uh, very high, low pitch that we can't hear, dog whistle, as an example, or aliens that communicate using, like we communicate verbally, and then we also have the subtext of body language. Adding in like comedy or sarcasm or disrespect or whatever with the same words but different body language. Other aliens might communicate more on a higher, on multiple levels. So, like a plant might communicate with both verbally and with pheromones or pollen or something like that, spewing out scent, and we may not be able to quite understand what they're doing. And for some reason, I remember reading a science fiction book where there were multiple aliens and they all wore these basically smiley face tags to show everyone else what they were feeling, so that everyone was on the same page. Because a lot of the aliens were just like, some were robots and some were like giant lizards and other. It's been a long time, but yeah, that was their way of like going like, I am being sarcastic now, and they showed a sarcastic face or something. Dead Man brings up, or cuttlefish, yeah, yeah, using. I think there's space for us to make alien protagonists. I'm going to not segue here, but just to give you a little hint, the original D6 Star Wars game, the Mayfair game, is one where they had a little fun with this, because you could play a Wookiee or a wow, my brain just Ewok and whatnot in the game. And like if you played a Wookiee, like you got this extra benefit from playing them because they're super tough and kind of quick and everything. I mean, they were so tough they could actually take a point blast shot from like a blaster or a lightsaber. Because the way the game worked was certain weapons did a base damage and then your character added it onto it. But one of the funniest things, like if you played a Wookiee, limitation because you had such a benefit was you had to pick one player character in the group that you could communicate with, and you couldn't communicate with anybody else. And it was, it was very tropish because it's very um very space opera ish, because it's like, well, wait a minute, aren't Wookiees just like other Wookiees? Aren't Wookiees just like other aliens in the universe? Wouldn't other people be able to understand them? And it's like, nope. If you play one, you got to pick one player character. And we used to have a lot of fun with that, because the person that would play would like pass notes, or at the table they would just speak, gobbledygook. They just like blah 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 blah, and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're like, I'm going to choke him. Oh, that's what you mean. Hey, Rickard, hey, what's going on? It says, my aliens feel like aliens is an alien concept for them. Boom. Yeah, right. Like, I don't feel alien at all. That's alien to us. Yeah. Um, it can be difficult, especially if in your role playing game you want to have, you have to have a nexus planet or hive or something where tons of aliens get together. There's a big empire where player characters get to choose have a lot of different choices, and of course they want to go on missions and adventures together. But at the same time, it can be a little bit difficult to not make them just humans in costumes. And some of the fun parts, for some reason, I'm thinking of the television show The Orville, which of course is a bit of a parody of Star Trek. But even in Orville, they had a lot of fun with making these strange aliens, and of course they'd spotlight comedians and they dress as aliens, and of course they never bothered changing their voices or their mannerisms. They were just aliens, but they were like, hey, how you doing? It's up. And that can be really fun. But I think there's space to make truly alien player character concepts that balancing the fact that you don't want that player character spending 20 minutes to have to navigate through the fact that they're completely different than the other player characters. Because we'll circle around back to the fantasy trope of, it used to be a bunch of humans and a few other non-humans. Now it's a bunch of monstrous races and one and the lone human in the group, right? And if they're a little bit too out there, you're gonna get like, my character's gonna be an intelligent gaseous form, and my character is going to be an AI that has no concept of what humanity is, and my character is going to be an intelligent dog that, whatever. Anyway, Pelora says an alien could have a different visible light spectrum. Yes, the only reason ours is what it is because the sun emits a lot into that band. Like, for example, aliens that view very far into the ultraviolet or infrared spectrums. Maybe a good example would be the Predators from the Predator franchise, or the Predator, etc. Right? And in that movie series, of course, the Predator was the antagonist, but through body language and behavior and just us seeing things, we got an example of what this alien species was like. Maybe they could see things differently. They could overhear human language and repeat it. Strangely enough, they also learned the context of it, right? It had a lot of comedic timing with that, with their ability to hear a human language and repeat it back. But they had different vision, the different ability to view things. And I think you could play with that a bit, especially if the aliens don't, if your player characters are like 30% to like 80% of what human vision might be. So maybe they see things humans don't, but then they don't see something that humans do. Maybe PCs are looking at computer screens, and aliens are like, why do they keep looking at like these flat glass plates all the time? It's like they're hypnotized by them. Is there something wrong with them? Or something like that. Mufa says, I had a player who had a temporary condition numbing half his face, so he chose to play a Wookiee and made Wookiee noises since that is all he could do for the first few sessions anyways. Wow. Okay. I used to be able to do the Wookiee, like, I can't do it as much as I used to. As a child, I used to play with myself quite a bit. Uh, by mimicking sounds and things from the cartoons and movies and all that kind of stuff. I used to be really good at like the uh, Scooby Doo and Popeye and Woody Woodpecker and all that kind of business. I might add that at the end. Rickard says, "What, you don't like your aliens to be like the Gorn? Stone throwing feet." No, it's like it's there's nothing wrong with the humans in the costume aliens, especially if you have players that are just getting into science fiction and you don't want to scare them away from the concepts, but I feel like there's space for more drama. For example, in the movie Enemy Mine, you had humans against aliens. They're kind of lizard like and whatnot. And Louis Gossett Jr., I believe, played the alien, and they didn't have a gender. They went through a period of time in which they would give birth, and that was just a thing. And the human thought that the other alien was just a male. Just, well, you're fighting me and shooting lasers at me. And in the movie, of course, the human and the alien fall onto a deserted planet, and it's a harsh planet, and they end up working together to survive. And then when they're saved, they have a new understanding of each other, and then the alien gives birth to a small child that the human starts to raise. And but just the simple act of an alien race that doesn't have the same concepts of gender or space time or even their own lifestyle, if they're a hive mind or whatever. I think those are little things that we can kind of tweak. Anyway, Gaster, hey Gaster Two Souls, says the idea of how alien can an alien become in a way is somewhat difficult to describe. Right. Perhaps not focused on physical alienation, but cultural alienation. That is what I did for an entire race that I've been working on since I was 13, called the Voidians. Yeah, we've already seen so many crazy looking aliens, but what is most terrifying is something that could look exactly like you, and you wouldn't even know if they were human or not. And I think the cultural part of that is important too, that Gaster's talking about, where um, we a lot of science fiction is speculative. It's essentially giant stories of what if, referring to the Disney Plus animated series, 3 episodes in here in the States. But in that series about what if, a lot of science fiction is speculative, like what if. And so, of course, a lot of that is, especially with Star Trek, is a reflection of taking human beings, taking an alien species, and then doing a dark reflection of us with the aliens, and then going like, well, if they, for example, it's the idea of sacrificing the few for the many. And a lot of people intellectually would go, well, it makes sense that the few are, given a terrible choice, the few don't matter for the many. And that would be true until you throw, well, what if the few are children and the many are the adults, right? And a lot of the adults would be like, well, listen, it's important for the children to survive, and there's many of us and fewer of them. They're the important part. So you can play with ethics and morality. A lot of times with cultural norms, whether it's clothing, food, sleeping, language, greetings. In Dune's coming out pretty shortly. In Dune, it's considered a sign of respect to spit, because on the planet Arrakis, it is so difficult it's basically a giant desert planet. Of course, they're wearing the skin suits, and they've got the little nosy things going up their nose to recycle all of their fluids. I'm sure they are urinating inside of the suits as well to keep getting all that sweat and everything and purifying it. And so, yes, the spice must flow. Hells yes. But there's a cultural part where spitting in our society can be looked at as like at a minimum uncouth, right? But there, it's a sign of respect. You're giving up your valuable moisture that you need to survive at a almost like pouring out a little bit of alcohol for someone that's passed away when having a drink, right? And that's pretty interesting. Deadman says, like the Elcor from Mass Effect, the Elcor speech pattern is prefaced by a stated emotion or verbal style, and I think something like that is fun. There were some examples. I like your example better in my head, but there's some things we can do, like for example, stating your emotional state beforehand, because like body language, we use a lot of body language. Maybe the alien race has no body language we can tell. Many of us with our pets, we get to learn their body language a bit. But in the beginning, you when you go up to a stranger's cat or dog, a lot of us are like, I have no idea if this cat is going to hit me or want to sit on my lap. I don't know. But if it's your pet, you learn the body language, and aliens might be the same exact way. Like Han Solo absently scratching, Chewbacca behind the ears because Chewbacca likes it and that's his best friend. To anybody else, Chewbacca's going to smack the hell out of him. Like, what are you doing? And it's because of that unwritten code. So yeah, doing something fun like that in a role playing game where you say, all right, listen, whenever you speak, these aliens speak their emotional resonance first before stating the actual fact because no one else understands them. Yeah, like Deadman. Like Rickard says, on the topic of the Elcor, HK47 commentary. Don't forget about me, meatbag. Yeah, commentary. Exactly. Like I am stating a fact. Anger, passion. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, like Deadman says, an example of Elcor's speech. Interestedly, this is a good topic. Yeah, but also uh, proximity is a thing. How close or far do they get? What kind? How intimate does the alien race consider intimacy? What oddities are like? What was it, back to Alienation? Alienation. They love to drink a spoiled milk. In District 9, they loved cat food and things. There might be something strange. There was a science fiction book that I read where, um, anyway, the crew of the ship had a pet cat on the ship, and the alien had no idea why they had this alien on their ship, and was like, it serves no purpose. It's taking resources and it's bouncing around and it's making funny noises. And so the cat would like rub up against the alien's leg and stuff, and the alien was just like, it's going to eat me. I don't know what it means. And one day the cat curled up on his lap, and the alien started stroking the cat, and the alien was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why does this feel good? As the cat's purring on his lap with like multiple arms and strange eye stalks and stuff. It was just a funny idea. Like, this makes no sense for me to do this, but I am enjoying myself. Right? There might be some things like that as well, that aliens might find human beings what we consider to be so commonplace that we don't think about it, that aliens might consider it to be intriguing, like laughing or crying might be considered something. I believe in the I'll get to your co-host in a minute, but in the Man Kazin Wars, human beings laughing and showing their teeth was a sign of aggression to the Kazin, which were like alien feline race with like rat-like tails. Mike Gould says, when making aliens more alien, there's been success with making their life cycle or feeding habits as far away from our expectations as possible. Examples like xenomorphs from Alien, from Life Force, Men in Black, yeah, yeah, and like those movies like Men in Black, they have a lot of fun with showcasing very alien aliens in a humanocentric kind of world, or actually humans trying to navigate in an alien world because they're here, and having a lot of fun with that. And of course, like we talked about Wednesday, Thursday, we can pull from nature to make our aliens. Like, we love insects and hive minds. We love reptiles and shifting with them. There are predatory mammals that we love to finagle with, but then like like Dead Man and Pelora mentioned earlier, squids and octopi are so alien to us today that we all, if you were to uplift them, like what would they say to us and how would they act and such? We're going to get to transhumanism and uplifted animals and whatnot in a minute. But Gaster Two Soul says, or like how scythes, which may seem like a simple tool to us, could entirely mean something else to a different species culture. Yep, maybe curved or hooked blade weapons are much more like signs of nobility, since they represent maybe a god's weapon in their it's not all appearing in their mythology. Wow, just cut off that one last bit as if they couldn't whatever. But yes, certain types of items, or heck, even things like handshakes or head nods or salutations of some sort might be considered rude or enchanting, or something like, for example, with Data on Star Trek, didn't understand comedy and was always trying to understand comedy, and that's a fun little player character thing where they don't they take comedy seriously, and or Drax the Destroyer, they don't have any they they don't have subtext. Everything they say is true and honest. To the point of ridiculousness, and I think you can have some fun with that. Maybe even personal space. Maybe the aliens don't have personal property, and they just go through other people's personal stuff and take whatever they need because they well, and that could also be a very cultural thing as well. Let's see. Michael says the language in Arrival is an excellent example of a very alien language. Spoiler alert. If you have a cup of coffee and the bottom is wet, you might understand their language. It's the alien language in Arrival. What a great! I understand some people might have thought that the movie was more akin to an episode of Twilight Zone, but what a great descriptor of a language that didn't have it was circular, and it didn't have a linear time frame the way we use language. Space Kender. Mufa's like, yeah. DBJ just suggested Space Kender. Okay. Maybe I need to take that back. but much not going down the Kender route, you could have an alien colony where they're just like, the only reason we share everything is because there's no need for us to even have personal space, especially if the aliens are like very invasive or something, which could be a possibility. Yeah. Gaster Two Soul says Voidians. Yeah, they're not the intimate type. Well, not in the way that we would understand. A few to them can appear sociopathic to a degree. I think that's one of the fears of humans meeting aliens in real life, is that it's not the conquering aliens that I think. Yes, we would be afraid of aliens conquering Earth, but at least we would know what they want, right? We're going to bombard Earth. Great, we need to run and hide. That's a very black and white issue. Oh, we're being attacked. We'll attack them back. The aliens that come in peace, I think is a little bit more fearful, and I think even a greater fear are aliens that we can't understand and they can't understand us. And it might take us generations for us to be able to communicate because they're thinking on different wavelengths. And I mean, if aliens communicate through multiple levels of subsonic frequencies and pheromones and bioluminescent, visual wavelengths, it might take a while for them to teach us like the ABCs of their language and them us. I know a lot of scientists are like, well, math is the universal language, which is true, except how do we express a number to an alien race that doesn't write things down the way we would so-called write things down, especially if they write things in a visual pattern in the air that we can't see or something like that, kind of fun. Mike says the idea of a symbiotic or parasitic life form has a lot of traction. Yeah, symbiotic normally doesn't kill the host, whereas parasitic ones mostly do. What was it? The Trill? Is it the Trill that's the humans that the aliens are actually the symbiotic life form, and the humans are the ones that want to achieve the level so that they then become the new host of the Trill or something like that. That's, I mean, what a great alien concept. I love that. I love that idea. Like Rickard says, or how green and purple scarves can start a civil war by being randomly assigned. Yeah, yeah. What's the big deal? I mean, it's just places and this. They are black on the left side and we are white on the left side. Yeah, but you look exactly the same. No, we don't. Mike says, there's a bit in Polynesian mythology where octopuses and squids, octopi, are the last survivors of the last world. There's a lot for Roman stories where, because I don't think this is all going to show up. Yeah, there's a lot of room for stories where this is actually true, which explains why there it goes. An octopus learns everything it needs to survive in a very short lifespan, somehow achieving the intelligence of a human child in a fraction of the time. Um, uh, for example, what if aliens communicate through some kind of genetic disposition, injecting a genetic code that deposits plenty of information inside of its host head, or the aliens are very symbiotic, and it's like, no, we've always been seeding other planets and attaching ourselves to their necks and throats, doing the face hugger starfish, Star the Conqueror thing. Like, yeah, this is just the way we like to communicate. Humans are like, ugh, please don't. Um, mm, mm, mm. All right, Mike says, there's also a great bit in an old X-Files where the discussion of proper alien probes on new worlds would resemble insects, meaning we could be under observation right now. Yeah, that's true. Given our advances in drone tech and nanotech, yep, this is a plausible avenue for near-future sci-fi aliens. I think something else that Eclipse Phase brought up in transhuman, as a transhuman setting, is that our first contact with aliens might not be with the aliens at all. And we may not even see them in the traditional sense, because by the time we get out the Oort cloud, we ourselves might not be recognizable. And we're going to have like drones and AIs and cloning. And by the time humanity reaches out past the Oort cloud in any kind of reasonable sense and we head off to Alpha Centauri, like what the definition of human is might we might be our own aliens unto ourselves. And if you guys ever listen to or watch SFIA, Science of Futurism with Isaac Arthur, he even points out that an intergalactic empire might be as alien to itself as we are to the idea of us finding alien life forms on other planets, meaning that there might be so much space in this intergalactic galaxy empire, I mean, that even genetically they might be divergent the further you go away from all these planetary surfaces, even if they are in connection with each other. All right, I got to read this out first, Dead Man, because of course it's not going to show up completely. But Dead Man says there's also the Kilrathi from Wing Commander. In one of the Wing Commander novels, a Kilrathi defected and was being held, and a Terran diplomat goes in to talk to him and finds him with half a dozen bunched up towels filled with his excrement. And when questioned about this, he said it was wasteful to dirty the drinking water of the toilet, not being aware of the faucets. Ooh. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes simple biological processes that we have might be considered amazing or rude or anything. I mean, if an alien species has been trained to recycle their own waste because that's what their body does when they are in a location maybe that uh, uh, that they don't have possible resources, we might be like, oh, and the aliens are like, seriously? Like, over time, you do realize if you keep creating waste, you're just going to be living on your. You guys are dirty. You human beings are dirty. I know you. I know someone out there knows the article that is based on humans as an invasive species that talks about how dangerous we would be. But yeah, yeah, it won't put everything else that you said there, dead man. But I absolutely, yeah, gathering up all our waste because I don't want to dirty up the toilet water. I love it. Gaster says, not to mention they're rather hard to explain politics, which mode or hard to explain their politics, or like which mode or less extends to, hey, I killed my superior. Okay, now you have this position. Yeah, the well, heck, people's concept of life and death is pretty is and an alien species is pretty can be very alien as well. Meaning, like, for us, we are very individualistic, and we each individual of us would love to be immortal. That we want to leave a legacy, if anything. But aliens, maybe they might not have a problem with dying, knowing that part of their legacy continues on, or much like in transhuman science about cortical stacks, if an alien's body is just like, nah, it's just equipment, but you save their cortical stack, for us, we might be like, did they just destroy themselves? And the alien's like, no, 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 no. Reach into the brain casing and pull out this, gory little thing. No, we got this. Wipe, wipe, wipe. Stick it in a pocket. They'll be all right. It's my uncle. Hey, Bray. Bray says aliens are terrifying for two reasons. Their moral compass would be completely different from ours, and their reason for actually making contact would be too easy to hide. And that's speaking about intelligent life, not parasitic or even micro level. I gotta see if it was, yeah, micro level life like viruses. I completely agree with you. I think on two extremes, I think it's less danger for us to have hostile aliens and aliens that come in peace. It's the ones in the middle, because there might be things that neither humans and the aliens are exhibiting that is completely deadly to either side, and we don't even know it. Like an alien that speaks in such a high frequency that it pops a blood vessel, or human beings that take with us our own biological effluvia that might infect them and that they consider to be, yeah, absolutely. Our ethics and moral compasses would be so different. We don't know what they would value, and much like we stepping on an insect, if we find an alien race that looks at us like insects, ooh, they'd be murdering us and not even understanding why. The Autobots and Decepticons is a perfect example. We analyzed your world and found it filled with machines just like us, with biological things you carry around inside of them. Pelora says there's a Numenera alien that is basically two creatures fused together. Each can control the whole individually, or they can control it together. Sort of a brain versus brawn thing, or a mix. Absolutely. At one point I even thought, like, how cool would it be if we made our own aliens, uplifted animals, AI, such brain and body modifications that we don't recognize each other. And I always thought it would be kind of cool to have humans that have like an alien brain case that opens up and the brain can come out, so that you could have like a lizard brain human and a very intelligent brain thing, whatever. Anyway, yeah, it was an idea. Gaster Two Soul. I'm getting a little too far from you guys, co-host. Gaster says, or perhaps we do the opposite. What if instead of us looking through the eyes of humans discovering aliens, perhaps we look through the eyes of aliens discovering humans and seeing how they react to our environment and how frightful they are? Yes, there's an article / short story about how potentially brutal humans are if you take a look at us through an alien lens. And I like that idea. I mean, hell, in fantasy gaming, we've done that before, where everyone plays something that's not human and all the humans are like the dangerous creatures out there hunting you down. I think the same thing could be done in science fiction as well. Mike Gould says the movements of octopi squid tentacles might well be their language, with their color shifts, displaying their emotional context. This might be capable of conveying a lot of information with little time. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And uh, again, something we might not understand in the beginning, such as shifting the colors on your skin and again, using pheromones or sound frequencies or a bioluminescence might there might be intricacies of wavelengths of light through bioluminescence that we just don't see with our own eyes. No matter, for example, there are televisions that claim to have like up to like 16 million different color variations, but biologically we can't see them all. The variations along the color spectrum, despite the fact that they are being broadcast into our brains, it's like, yeah, it just still looks blue, even though there might be 20,000 variations in between. Yeah. Gasper Two Souls says, for all we know, aliens could perceive us as creatures like how we view bears, scared, not wanting to bother them, and don't want to piss them off. Yeah, yeah, we pretty much we're pretty scary and dangerous. We eat a lot of things we shouldn't. We live in places that are harsh. We treat each other horribly as an aliens to another alien species. They might be like, damn, they kill each other like it's nothing. Yeah. Michael says, dipping into fantasy for a second, the practice of lizard folk eating the dead would be a display of their culture. Yep, refusing to waste anything. We see it as a barbaric. They see us as a wasteful. Exactly. And throughout in human culture, there's been cannibalism of a sort, of used as a way to honor the dead and an alien species. But again, I joke about flushing people out of airlocks and becoming kinetic kill weapons. Recycling humans might be a thing in the future we might need to do. And despite me being sarcastic about it, it actually kind of makes sense. Who wouldn't want to be buried in the hydroponics lab to feed the next generation of people, right? That could be a very honorable thing to do, and a needed thing to do. Uh, Gasper says, however, there's that one friggin' alien douche who wants to try and screw with humans' kids. Yeah, with the humans' kid. Yeah, now they get hit with a bat, shot up, and then most likely have their body dragged into their natural habitat, a house. Don't drag me in the house. Aliens are like, we got to get out of here. Why? Yeah, because of all the things they do to them. Michael says, Enemy Mind did a great job when it came to body anatomy, gender, and family. The Dracs, I couldn't remember what they were. The Dracs are born capable of birthing young, having only one sex that is both male and female. I think they're born, what do you say? I think they're born pregnant. Yes, and we have animals here that are able to change their sex if there isn't another animal out there to impregnate them or for them to impregnate, that they will self change. Why wouldn't our concepts of gender and politics and economics and things to other aliens might be completely like other aliens might be so, for example, socialistic, they don't understand what economics is, that everyone just produces things for everybody else and that's it. Money, what is money? we trade our time and energy. That's what we do. Yeah. AG says a lot of superstitions we have come from rationalizing base instincts. Yeah, we sure do. Alien biology would mean alien instincts. Their codes and customs could be a source of tension, same as ours. I absolutely agree with you. When it comes to, we've actually done this with like the seven deadly sins as an example. I think what you're talking about, AG, when it comes to like lust and attractiveness, when it comes to, well, we have gender differentiations, and that has affected the way we have established our species. in many ways. Hey, protect the women because they're the ones who breed. So we don't want them up front in the battlefield, and then that becomes a social norm, and then we tack on uh, um, rationalizing that base instinct into a political forum. You know what I mean? So yeah. Gaster's like, we're bears. We're all alien. We're an alien's version of grizzly bears. Yeah, I mean, heck, when we go to sleep, they might be like, why are you hibernating? And they're like, I'm trying to get some sleep. And they're like, you call it sleep? We think you're dead. Christian Paul, hey there. How about echopraxia style aliens? They see the idea of individualism in spoken language as a threat. Ooh, ooh. that's a that's an easy recipe for a war there. But yeah, they're Christian. I don't know if I've never seen your avatar before, so glad you could be here. But yeah, there. I mean, who's to say that individualism might be something that an alien species has eradicated from their society? Oh, and maybe there are aliens who have individualism who are like escaping to Earth or in our own solar system and looking for a place to hide and whatnot. Yeah, but yes, individualism of many types, whether it is like I was mentioned before, whether it's just possessions. Hey, this is my stuff. You go over there. Whether it's sleeping arrangements, maybe aliens just all sleep in a big pile on top of each other, like I don't know, ferrets or penguins or something. They open up your bedroom door, come on in, slip right under the covers, sleep right at the bottom of the bed, and you're just like, "What the hell are you doing?" And they're like, "What do you mean? We all sleep in the same bed." you know. Uh, Michael says humanity might perceive the relationship between an insect and plant species as hostile. Yeah, where they see it as simple pollination, even if the plant alien is damaged. Ooh, get out of that plant. You mean the pollen? You're killing it. Yeah, like centipedes and caterpillars eating the leaves off of plants, and the I am Groot aliens are like, no. Oh man, yeah. Gaster says this is a hilarious and morbid sense. What is quote? What is the stock market? It is a place where you can buy stalks of corn. No, the stock market. What? What do you mean? Mm-mm-mm. Hell, I mean, the way we treat living things on our own planet might make other aliens pretty pissed off. Like like throughout history, herd animals, man, they would be pissed. They're like, we have horns on our heads too. Michael says an insect hive species might see the idea of money as evil. Like, why would you sell what your hive needs? Heresy. Oh, hell yeah. Hell's yes. Or what if humans produce something that aliens really love? I mean, yeah, you may not have to go across the galaxy to get it. That might be a little bit ridiculous, but maybe there's something humans produce, whether it is the sounds of our voice or some kind of waste product, or they can smell something that is inside of us that excites them or feeds their hunger or makes them gives them a high or something. Yeah. Gaster says, who's to say that aliens haven't tried to contact us via meteors, but Phil had to leave the stove on by accident? Bang! Oops! Oops! Yeah, Dead Man says, echopraxia, excuse me, is the involuntary repetition or imitation of another person's actions. Hmm. Hmm. There was a okay. One one of the scary things about an alien species, and I'm including AI in this as well, is the thing we don't understand mimicking what we're doing, because because of body language, we're very hyper aware of like the uncanny valley. Like how many of us have seen videos of the robots with the human plastic flesh over the faces and bodies and stuff, and it's like in our brain, or what's the number of AI websites that state that this person isn't real, but they assemble the face through an AI algorithm of what a human face looks like, and something in our animal brain is just like, that just doesn't look, what am I looking at, right? And we see that with CGI as well, that they're really trying to get deep fakes better, but for some reason our brain just picks up on it. And I think aliens mimicking us is also an alien thing, because when we look at them, we're just like, oh, I don't understand what's going on. and and so it might seem odd, like, for us to maybe mimic other aliens, because the aliens like, please stop trying to sound like us, and they're going like, they're like, humans, stop it. Let's just write this down. Oh, Pelora, I see it. And Gaster says, what if aliens consider eye contact a threat, such as prey's response to a predator's eye contact? Ooh, hey, dogs do the what is it, exposing the laying on your back, exposing your stomach, is a sign of submission to a superior dog over top of you. Could you imagine, like, aliens are like, they're doing contact with human beings and are expecting you to fall on your back and put your arms and legs up in the air? Like Pelora says, ooh, kissing is pretty weird, let's be honest. Yeah. There's It's funny when you see our domesticated animals starting to mimic the behaviors we do, because then your brain starts going like, what? Like, there's a dog on my route that smiles by exposing her teeth, just like a lab or something, real fun. But she tries to smile like human beings smile, and it just looks really bizarre. It just looks very funny. Mm-mm-mm. Gaster says, for all we know, dancing is is us basically cussing them out, cussing them the fuck out. Why are they so rude? Why do they hate us? They've put music to their effing. Well, F you, humans, right? Well, F you. Oh, man. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. And you mean Uncanny Valley? Yeah. Christian says, Echopraxia is a novel, by the way, hard sci-fi. Very good. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just I thought it was I had never heard of Echopraxia, but you could pull apart what the meaning is, but I didn't know that. I'll have to look that up. Put that on my listening uh, uh, thing. Brain just farted. Mike says, I'm now thinking of The Abyss. Yep. Okay, hands up if you think that was a Russian water tentacle. A Rush, yeah. The the ending of The Abyss was a little problematic, the theatrical version, but yeah, The Abyss. Technologically, what a great movie. And yes, thinking of an alien species that uses a different technology, even using water as a technology. Could you imagine what other things they might use? An alien species, running around Jupiter or something, using other gaseous elements as their technology. We wouldn't be able to tell the difference, let alone an intelligent gaseous alien would even look like. Although I don't know how they get off the planet. Yeah, there's probably some ways to do it. Gaster says, it's weird indeed. Never kiss with your eyes open. You will see the devil. Is that a personal thing? Because that sounds like a brand new horror movie from Neil Blomkamp or something. Oh, man. Mike says, blinking during eye contact is also a thing. Cats will slowly blink when looking at you if they want to express that they're not a threat. I didn't know that. They also expose their throats, don't they? My my producer sitting next to me, hanging out. Yeah, she does that too. And they also own us as well. I know cats and dogs will rub up against you to get their scent on you, and they'll smell other animals' scents. Aliens might do the same thing, although getting it might be a sign of respect to have a big old alien pee on you, and they're like, "I own you," Psst. And they're like, "Thank you, I appreciate it. I own you too." Zip. Christian says, talking about eyes, senses are very important. Think of predators who see only in infrared. Changes your view of the world and your technology and art. That's a big issue there, right? Like the expression of art itself is so subjective to us that alien art, like, could you imagine a bunch of this white panels spread around and the aliens are just staring at them and they're like, wow, you're amazing. And humans are like, what the hell, what are they looking at? And you got to put the goggles on first to go, oh, that's amazing. you know? Yeah, absolutely. Although that would be a great economy. Player characters need to find a needle in a haystack by retrieving an important piece of art from an alien species, and they can't see what it is because it just looks like a big white panel, except the goggles. They've got to like, okay, which one is it? Nope, it's that one. Nope, oh, okay. Boop, 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 boop. AG says some apes see us smiling as a threat. Yep, they see us baring our teeth as a threat. Yeah, aliens might react who knows how to a handshake. Yeah. Uh, yeah, AG. Mike says dancing as a threat means Footloose is alien porn. Ooh. They keep fast forwarding to the end of the movie, and all of a sudden, like the multiple pores in their body just like send out spuge. Yeah. Oh man, the aliens are like, the humans threaten to shut down OnlyFans, but they have brought it back. Hail the humans. Oh no. Mm-mm-mm. Rickard, hey, what's going on? Says, gotta head to work. It was great to hang out with y'all. Hope work will allow me to join them more soon. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hells yes. Hey, take care now as well. Have a great one. Let me go back up here with you guys. Oh man. Gaster says, God, they would absolutely hate the Alien franchise. They would be really offended with any attempt at an alien sci-fi film. They're like, I don't understand. Why are they trying to take the face huggers off? It makes perfect sense. They're just being nice. The aliens are like, look, they watch the same movie. Aliens watch the same alien movies we do, but they're rooting for the other side and they don't see a problem with it. They're like, I the face hugger said hello, gave you a gift, popped out of your tummy tum. That's our love language. Here, let me show you. The alien's like, please don't. Oh, well, instead, can you pass the popcorn? Yeah. they're romantic comedies. Oh man, the Alien franchise of romantic comedies to a bunch of aliens. They're like laughing and joking, popping more popcorn. Like, that's you guys are wow, I can't believe you made movies about this. The humans are like, you mean the Aliens franchise? We love them. Gaster says, just don't kiss and have your eyes open at the same time. It's so weird, and it gets even worse when the person locks eyes with you in return. I'm thinking, I'm thinking this is hyper personal. I'm thinking you practice this. I'm thinking, yes. I want to explain how I figured that out. Let's just say that date night didn't go so great. I don't know. I don't know. I think you could have fun with that. I've known somebody that I've experimented with a young lady in my youth, and we had some fun with things that are norms that shouldn't be norms and stuff. That nothing. Listen, nothing way out there, but yeah, there's even some biological and sexual norms that are out there that are just like that are weird. Like if you take a look at it, we as humans are like we really do some odd things, don't we? Michael says, predators and other creatures that only see in one phase of light may question humanity's racism. Yes, as the aliens see us as all as one color. This may be the same for aliens that see via echolocation. Yeah, the funny In the second episode of What If, when the Ravagers come down to Earth, and instead of getting Peter Quill, who becomes Star Lord, they grab T'Challa instead, and then and Yondu's like, "What are you doing? That's not him." And they're just like, they're looking at the hologram and T'Challa, and they're like, "Yeah, but listen, two ear holes, two eye holes, a mouth hole. It looks exactly alike." That would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny for aliens. They're just like, they're talking to strangers on the street and they're like waving at the aliens like, "No, I'm over here." And they're like, "Oh, I couldn't tell the difference. I just I don't know. You all of you sound and look alike. I don't know." Like, I'm wearing different clothes. We're different heights and weights. Aliens like, I still don't la in one ear out the I don't get it. Blur says, I would love to watch some alien TV, especially their aliens. What would aliens watch that would be an alien version of Aliens to them? Hmm. The Alien franchise, but flipped around, where you see the alien xenomorphs going to an alien planet, and they open up a thing and they see a bunch of humans sleeping inside, and the xenomorphs look at each other and they're just like, "No," and they run away, and the humans wake up and start going after them and start trying to kiss them in their mouths, and they're just like, "Stop it, stop." You're gonna kiss us on our mouths and make us have babies, and then one of the xenomorphs are sitting there at the table having lunch, and one of them was like, "My stomach's getting bigger," and like gives birth like a human would give birth, and they're just like, "No!" And the baby comes out crying, and they're just like screaming and running in fear. Oh man. Uh, that would probably be on one of their television shows. Gasper says, if you think about it, giving an alien a handshake would probably look like to them you're trying to give them a handy. What if the aliens are like, "Yeah, we love your handshakes, humans. Please shake our limbs once again. No, keep doing that. Yes, over and over. No, your other hand, place it into this orifice, the lower one, the lower." Yeah, right there. Yes, this is how we say hello. And they always look at each other like, "Ah." There's a comedy. There was a short-lived comedy show on television about that, where there were one of the aliens kept capturing human beings and anal probing them, and the other aliens are like, "Why do you keep doing that?" And the alien's like, "I just like it. I just like anal probing them." Gasper's like, "I will personally burn my limbs." Not after years of doing it. Maybe you're just like, "Oh, I guess they just want us to stick our limbs into one of their orifices." And grabbing another extended orifice. Humans are just like, "Well, the president of the United Nations, people are just putting on plastic gloves and like with the plastic spit shields, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to talk to the aliens," and they're like placing their hands into various orifices and then getting sprayed, and the aliens are like, "Thank you so much." And the peoples and the nations of the world are like, "Great, we're great diplomats," and the aliens are like, "Man, I love this planet. I mean, they just fall for anything." Side note, I sometimes wonder about people that travel the world and introduce themselves to different cultures, and whether a culture you're not familiar with, they're just playing tricks on you about the stuff they eat and wear and stuff. They're just like, "Psst, the people are here to visit again. Come on, let's put on our tribal stuff." And convince them that they're involved in some kind of like ancient ritual that they made up 15 minutes ago or whatever. But anyway, we didn't really talk about a lot about role-playing games, but that's all right. We do this on Future Friday anyway. And hell, these subjects get out of hand anyhow. But I think we should see more aliens, I feel, especially since science fiction is speculative, and in role-playing games we get to play with a lot of different things. Um, I I feel like if you're going to bother doing like an intergalactic sci-fi game, or even if you're going to do it intragalactically, like transhumanism, having lots of putting ourselves in the shoes of something that's not human is very difficult, because we're all humans. At least we like to think so. But we have so many different experiences. I think there's a way for us to look at other things and go, man, what would it be like if you could only see in like the ultraviolet or infrared spectrum, or you like Michael's talking about echolocation, if all you're seeing if you're watching the world like the character Daredevil, then is written language a thing for you, or is more body language a thing, or sound? Maybe sound is so important that even the subtleties of sound, like a person who can sing very well might be someone that might be a sign of far more beauty than their body type, even if their body type to human beings might be less attractive. Their singing voice might be something that's just far more than beautiful. It might even be hypnotic, or even it could even be like a mating call of some sort. Like doesn't matter where they go, I hear their voice and I know who they are and where they're at. So anyway, there's a bunch of things we go off, but guys, everybody have a great one. Please do the usual: like, share, subscribe if you like this kind of content. Unfortunately, this is a WTF channel now, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. Unfortunately, I fingers crossed we can hire enough people so I don't have to, you know, uh, reduce the channel down. But that's the thing. Also, as you can see behind me, the Creators Conclave is slowly growing. I will be having more interaction with members of the Creators Conclave in the first place. You'll find out more information about that. And lastly, the Kickstarter is starting for the Level Up 5e. I know it's not science fiction, but I'm a contributing writer to it, so I'm happy to see it come to fruition. I'm just a small nail in a big foundation of this thing. I'm thinking it might be one of the top 10 Kickstarters in role playing games of all time. So, thank you very much, there, Plura. Plura ends the show absolutely with a have a good weekend, everyone. Take care. You too as well, guys. Have a great one. I will see the next Wednesday, unfortunately.